Good afternoon, everyone. 2X flares about to hit the earth right here. New Year's historic cold baked in the cake. We'll take a look at the forecast, but also clues to when they're going to start the blackouts based on previous blackouts in the same temperatures in the same areas. Let's take a look at it. Going to run you through the model here. This is going to take us out into about the 15th of January. It's going to be a couple of pulses of cold, but the last pulse is the one that's really going to shake things up. Run that through you again so you can take a look at it. The Arctic air swirls, it gets pulled back. It comes in waves of 1 wave, 2 waves, 3 waves, and ultimately it snaps into the coldest occurring around the 13th to the 15th. Ryan Maui putting this one out. And thank weathermodels.com for the charts. Mid-month warm-up, hold the phone on that. And this chart right here, 850 millibars, that's about 5,000 foot in altitude. This is on January 9th, wide view over all of North America, but then we'll just slide into parts of Canada and the lower 48. And there's your degrees Celsius, not degrees Fahrenheit, below zero that you're looking at here. And speaking of that, quick word for the UK. Under high wind warnings, snow and blizzard advisories. And then we see these temperatures here. 1 degree Celsius is about 34 degrees Fahrenheit. 40 to 60 mile per hour winds, and in the north blanketed by ice and snow. Interesting wave patterns, again, like we saw all along Peru, Chile, California, West Coast, battering waves, and this fog, this worldwide strange fog phenomena. Here we are in Glastonbury, St. Michael's Tower, the Tor. And if you're seeing these strange fogs around your area, please leave it in the comment box below. I'm interested. It seems to be a worldwide phenomenon. Jumping over the daily run here, this will take us from the new year up to the 15th, and you can see it's wave after wave, smashing cold after smashing cold, and it does encompass areas that have gone in blackouts before. And this is one of the things I was going to point out here. TVA cut our power Christmas Eve, Christmas Day in 2023. And these blackouts / brownouts will not go instantly without warning. You're going to get a text message like we all did here in the TVA area that said, please reduce the use of electricity immediately. Turn down your thermostats, turn off all the lights in your house. They send it out to all these businesses. At that point, you know they're getting ready to go into blackouts, because that is the last ditch effort to reduce consumption. If you get that notice on your phone, I would be getting your generator out immediately. This is what they do. This is your warning sign. And this is here on the 7th. I'm going to roll you through a bunch of charts. This teardrop shape, if you're looking at it in a different form, this is thickness. So the densest, if you will, is that bullseye of dark gray. And as we move to a different temperature anomaly, again, Celsius chart here. So if your average temperature is, let's say, 0 Celsius or 32 Fahrenheit, then you can look to see, wow, that's going to be 20 Celsius below the normal, which is going to put you right around 0 degrees Fahrenheit. It's just a measurement against your normal, all of North America, but that cold needs to go somewhere. And it's going to move right from the 9th into the 10th, and it starts to set up at that point from the 10th through the 12th, and it just stays around. Here's the 11th, the 12th, and it stays in these same areas. I'm going to zoom in here to the southeast U.S. Very important to look. This is the trip-off point here. Now that Trump will return to the White House, it's time to consider your retirement and portfolio. The Wall Street Journal said gold will outperform stocks in 2025. Since 2022, gold has surged 40% after the U.S. seized Russia's assets. That was a wake-up call for central banks around the globe to diversify their reserves away from the dollar and into gold. At the same time, Goldman Sachs said Trump's presidency will light a fire under gold, pushing it to $3,150 an ounce. Call the proud Americans of the Patriot Gold Group today before it's too late. And the Patriot Gold Group has the No Fee for Life IRA, where your IRA or 401k can be in physical gold or silver. No Fee for Life IRA on qualifying rollovers. Give them a call, 888-546-7020 for your free investor guide today. These places are not used to. They're going to draw an enormous amount. And that's just 12 hours later, and that cold is tremendously encompassing of a great part of the power producers in the Southeast and also grid operators. We're going to take you back up around the Great Lakes in Illinois there, degrees Fahrenheit below zero. So 5 degrees Fahrenheit below zero. And you see these charts are flipping between Celsius and Fahrenheit. And even in Tennessee, we're going to get down to the single digits. Those of you all over in Arkansas are going to be well below zero, and anything up in Missouri, etc., below zero Fahrenheit, and everywhere else in between. Now, case in point here, TVA tripped off the grid and put everybody into multiple day blackouts or rolling brownouts here for the same exact temperatures. And right there, if you look in the blue box, 3 degrees Fahrenheit, and then on December 23rd, it got into 7 degrees Fahrenheit, and then the draw on the grid was tremendous. Even though it was 11 and the temperature had risen to 11 degrees Fahrenheit. So they tried to make up for it on the buying of power from other places, but the demand was just so tremendous and well above what they'd forecast, even though they were purchasing power from different providers. That's the whole thing. Everybody's going to be under the same scenario during this time, if it manifests and if these charts do not change, which they could. They could change. So you would just think that if we're repeating the same scenario, we're going to have the same outcomes. And then the power providers in the north, northeast, they're going to have tremendous draw as well. And if your power does go out, please remember you can open your windows on a south-facing side of the house to get warmth in and light. This is Grand Central Station, 1929, but the skyscrapers around right now prevent that from coming in. Notice how beautiful the architecture of old was compared to our, shall I say, new world. And this is a strange one here. Transformer blows and also causes damage to a house or a building. And we'll see this, a lot of damage to transformers during this time when you see these flashes. This will be another indication that, well, something's gone wrong and your power is about to go out. So all I'm pointing out is in these forecast models, now they could change, but the scenario is exactly the same, whether it was in Texas and ERCOT with the demand exceeding their expectations, even though they were trying to buy power from other providers. The same temperatures are going to cause the same effect. There's more people that have moved down here to the southeast U.S. over the last year, which means there's more homes, more demand just from the sheer amount of people that have moved into new locations. They're going to give you the warning, though. Once you get that text message, understand when they tell you to turn everything down because they need to stop a grid failure, you have just minutes or less than an hour to get your preps ready, because that is the signal warning for those who are understanding what that message means. That's your go time at that point. You just need to drop whatever you're doing and take immediate action. Immediate action. Because as Bear Independent was talking about yesterday in his video, natural gas was the failure point for a lot in the ERCOT power outage in 2021, that when temperatures get really this cold, they have to have people out there at these transfer stations to regulate pressures, because there's a lot of problem in the system at that point. I encourage you to look at Bear Independent. Check out yesterday's video, how he explains how he worked in the electrical industry and also the natural gas. But natural gas prices soaring on frigid forecast. So traders already know something big is coming. You don't get this kind of rise. This is a multi-year jump in prices. They know it. Something bigger is coming that they're not telling the public exactly yet. And I want to go into another point of failure here. Here's a possibility for at least 1/10 inch of snow. That red is 100%. Then when we get into this crossover zone of yellow and the aquas and down into the blues there, so you're looking at the beaches in the Gulf of Mexico at a 40% chance of snow. It's going to be Gulf of Mexico squall lines, and not lake effect snow, but Gulf of Mexico effect snows. If we look at this much snow in the snow forecast, but you're looking at the solar generation in the southeast U.S., that adds 4% to the grid, 4%. We're not even talking about wind. If there's a wind drought, then we're going to knock another 4 to 5% off, and that'll take us near 10% reduction in record demand, and also trouble with the lines as it gets really cold with natural gas. Here's the snow forecast. So when you start to overlay these two, in just a general sense of the lower 48, and then you move it into the southeast U.S., and you specifically there, this is the failure point. We're not used to, there's no de-icing on the solar panels down here, if there is such a technology. but overlay the solar generation with the forecast snowfall map. There will be no solar generation during this point. If we're getting this type of snow, it's going to cover the panels. I don't know in real time how quickly they can remove that. And the daily generation, at least from December 2nd here of this year, 2024, this is total U.S. generation, and we find that little slice of pie of solar 4% and wind 4%. If those go like ERCOT did in a wind drought, minus that. Plus the snows on top of the panels, minus that. Which leaves us already at a deficit, which is not really where we want to be. So these are the things that hadn't happened in the prior events, except the wind drought, where the wind just went almost to zero for production capacity for 38 to 42 hours, nothing, zero. And then the snow was not here last time either. And to take that much production off because of snow covering the panels in the facilities, this is something that we just haven't seen before. It's the first time with this transition into something so all-encompassing with such a large footprint that it will interrupt a lot of these new systems that were put in play. So I'll leave it there and say get ready, but let's take a look at the sun here, another coronal hole coming. That'll be Earth-facing in about 4 days, and you could expect more earthquakes at that time. But let's look here, tonight the 31st, Happy New Year. 1700 Zulu is minus 5 hours, 2 p.m. here on the 31st in the afternoon Eastern Standard Time. We get hit with the first CME, and then 0600 Zulu on the 1st would be right around midnight or 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I'm wondering how much of the residual charge on the first CME hitting will add into the second one where nothing had cleared. Electrons didn't clear out by that point. There's no way. So I'm wondering if this add-on additional charge will let us see aurora in unusual places, let's say. So if you're feeling excitation or different types of energies, different moods, different emotions, yeah, those two CMEs rocking in on the planet at the same time could very well explain that. It's not just from your local stimuli of your friend said something, the news said something. We have a whole electric circuit being supercharged here. At the same time, these storms are coming in. It's really unusual how things are layering on top to create a greater outcome. So I wish you the best in your preps. It is coming, and I'm going to bring you some more on the power failures of Texas in the next video tomorrow. Because if the same conditions caused it to happen once, perhaps we can look and say it's possible that it could happen again based on the exact same conditions, but over a more widespread area. I do thank you for watching. I hope you got something out of the video. You can also check out the Adapt 2030 and Civilization Cycle podcast on Rumble, BitChute, and if you're looking for storable foods, My Patriot Supply and Adapt 2030 4-week food kit. So you don't have to leave the house during emergencies just like this. You're already prepared. That link's in the description box below along with a bunch of links so you can continue to chase down and do your own dot connecting. See you next time. Bye for now.